Hello, everyone. This is Daily from Healing Heart Reiki, and it is a beautiful gray morning outside. And I'm coming on today to talk about having confidence in your healing business or practice. I thought about this. I was kind of noticing the group discussion and also thinking about many people that I've spoken to in the past few years. And it so often happens that as energy healers, we just have so much love and light in the heart for the work that we do, and we want to share it. But it can be frightening sometimes. It takes a certain level of confidence. And the etymological root of the word confidence actually comes down to this idea of being in full trust. It's like full commitment to the energy of what's happening. And in energy healing, I think like that's actually really critical, right? Like to learn how to surrender. And that's what we learn in Reiki. In Reiki 1, we learn about surrendering to flow. So having confidence in your business or your practice, I think is something that, just like with Reiki, it develops over time. And yet, because we're such like a quick consumerist kind of culture, we feel like we're supposed to just have the confidence and do it already. And I've seen a lot of young energy healers beat themselves up for just the internal process of not feeling ready or not feeling good enough or just not having confidence. So there's a couple things that I wanted to kind of look at with this in the next few minutes. And if you're on, say hi, so I know you're here. I see one. Hello. Hi, Ingrid. Hello, hello. And if you have your own wisdom to share and add, definitely post it in the comments. Like, let's let this be a really good discussion. So with healing business, I really believe that confidence is something that keeps a lot of great healers from starting. And we need healing in this day and age. We need it so, so bad. Like this past year in 2022, I had some health things going on and I ended up sort of in the medical system because I really, like, as a healer, I believe in energy work. I work with it, but I always have felt that it's also good to have an integration. Like sometimes you just need scans and you need somebody to that can actually like look inside of your body or whatnot. I think it's helpful. So I was at the doctor going through all these things, and I had this like terrible experience and realized this system is so, so broken. There are so many amazing doctors and nurses and people that are truly, truly dedicated to healing in their heart, right? Uh, but we have these structures in our country, at least in the United States, these structures that hold healing processes, and they really don't work very well. And not just for Western medicine, like the hospital system, which often prioritizes liability and money over human health, but also the system for therapists and psychiatrists and all of these other healing modalities that are out there. The healers themselves can be fantastic, but it's very challenging as an energy healer, if you're, or any kind of healer, like healing practitioner, if you're working inside of a system that literally is just putting up blocks all across the board for a million reasons, whether that's like the money, the insurance, the lack of understanding. And I think that that's what it boils down to. We're living in this society right now that there are so many great people, but the way that our actual culture has grown, if you look at the energy of our culture as an entity in and of itself, that culture, it has some illnesses that need to be treated, right? We have really moved away as people from an innate understanding that we're a tribe, we're a community, and that as communities and tribes that we're here to like communicate with each other and really support each other. And that way, like, even if one person is falling, going through things, maybe they have a bad season, like in the olden days, maybe they had a bad season and their crop didn't come out because they were on that side of the valley and it rained too much, right? Then these people over here on this side of the valley that have great crops could share that and make sure that everyone in a community could really be held. And if people were struggling with mental illnesses of different types, that ideally there's just this level of understanding that life hands each of us so many different things, and we try to make beauty from it. And when and where we can't, when and where we don't yet have the skills or we're challenged, we have our brothers and sisters and our community members to really help us, to help hold us in accountability for healing and growing, and to help and hold us and support us where we can't hold ourselves, right? And ideally, there's like a give and take with that. It's a dynamic balance so that we're never just over giving and burning ourselves out, right? We're also receiving and we're celebrating, and that celebration just opens us to so much gratitude. It's like a really beautiful full cycle and full system. And that's like the healthy community model, or like the village model, right? And a long time ago, that was what most people knew, because there weren't airplanes, there weren't radios, there wasn't all of this technology that could allow us to be simultaneously halfway across the world. So we had our hands full as a community, just trying to like fully integrate and understand what was happening with the people next door, with what was happening with that person in their hut or like whatever. And like really just being able to ground in our spirit of place and grow as a community of people, right? And have safety in that process and love in that process. Now, like, I'm not saying that that's all ideal. Like, things happen, things have always happened. There are always people that are more prone towards creating chaos and drama and war and all of that. But if there's a healthy community model, like if you know in your life, looking around, like who are your people that if you get really sick, they will bring you soup, and if they get really sick, you will bring them soup, right? And that on good days, those are the people you call and you celebrate with, and you just know that they have your back, and vice versa. Like that healthiness, it allows us to keep growing upright towards the sun. And I really feel that like all we have to do is look at history and see that like there are critical moments in our time where a lot of that's gone a little bit off track. And I think all of this connects us. Like this will all connect back to having confidence, I promise you. so like as as healers back in those times and places, um, and there's more complications to this story too, but when there's a healthy village model, then everybody has healing gifts and everybody gives them. And sometimes there's people that have other special gifts, like very metaphysical, like shamanic, like seeing into the other realms gifts. But in those healthy models, those gifts aren't any less or more important than the person who knows how to like till the fields and like put food on the table physically. And so everybody works together and they share, they trade, and like money's been around for like a gazillion years too, and money has been another way to show appreciation for all of those gifts, whatever they are, so that that dynamic balance stays really intact and fluid. And I think the greatest challenge for us living now in this age, I'm just going to skip all the history lessons. I don't think we have time for it. Not today. But the greatest challenge, I think, for us living in this day and age is actually the same thing that's a blessing, which is our technology, right? Because now we have this ability to not just be in our physical location, like I'm in Santa Rosa, California right now, and there's people in my life around me, but also because of technology, I know intimately things that are going on in like 5 other countries. I know I could look online and see what the weather is like in Tasmania right now. And that kind of plugged in nature can be very tricky because it challenges us to understand what our new boundaries need to be in this evolving world where things are now global, right? And is it my job to know what the weather is in Tasmania? Or is it my job to stay still very anchored and present in my local community, right? So I think there's blessings for both. But as technology developed, as industrialization happened, a few hundred years ago, like 150 years ago, and then as technology, even that revolution came out of that, I think what's happened is more and more we have created communities and societies where there's actually a lot of anonymity, where people actually don't necessarily even know each other. Like, you may not even know your neighbors next door. You may not even know what they eat for dinner. And like, whereas maybe hundreds of years ago, you could stay in the same environment and know the same people till you died. So if they did something terrible to you, at some point, it's gonna have to be addressed and resolved. If not by you, other village members would be like, nope, we're not living with this drama. It's too much. But now there's this sort of veil of anonymity that people can pull. And I think with that, it means that we don't always have the same level of accountability from the people around us. That actually helps hold us to our values, to what we value in society and what's important for who we're becoming and what's important for how society is evolving. So it's easier for people to be like mass murderers and never get caught, serial killers and never get caught. It's easier for people to choose greed and make very selfish decisions that hurt others because there's no long-standing community that's right there saying, no, like, we're not going to live with your decision. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but I think with all of the space and freedom that we now have today in society, it demands of us that we learn how to stand in leadership in our own lives, that we learn how to choose our values and live by them with as much integrity and ethical presence as possible, because we don't have like that energy of a throng of people that are holding us to that. Now we do still have socialization. We still have a lot of socialization. We're exposed to news and media and social media and people everywhere telling us how you should live your lives, who you should be. And that can affect us for sure. Like, you may like feel like, oh no, I have to be this certain way or else I'm not going to fit in, right? We have socialization through the school system, middle school, elementary school, high school, college, like all of it. And we have socialization in our workplaces, right? All of these different rules that we have to live by to survive. But the huge difference between all of this socialization today versus the kind of socialization that was happening way back was that now we're functioning in multiple circles with a lot of different people. Way back when, you might like live in a village and then you go to work, but you're literally seeing all the same people that you like live with and around. And then when you're hanging out and having fun, sitting by a fire, going to a tavern, whatever it is, like, you're seeing the same people. They're over at the table. You just had a day of work with them, or you knew, like, even if you weren't working with them, you're like, oh, they're way over there doing that. And there's just this sense of like everybody's a part of this huge process. But today, you might work with some people during the day that you don't see in any other part of your life. And then you might hang out with friends that you go, I don't know, you go like to music festivals and concerts with or whatever, but you don't have any other accountability with them other than that. You could literally tell them stories about work that they may never find out if it's even true, right? There's these veils of anonymity have created these divisions and segments, and because of that, it's harder for us to be held accountable to the life we want to create. And it's harder for us to understand how we want to give our energy in community, right? And be happy. So I think what's happening is a lot of people, they actually feel sad. They feel disconnected, even when they're surrounded by a lot of people. So for us as energy healers, here we are in the middle of all of this, right? We're going through stuff in our lives, but we have this call to healing. And I promise you, like, if you're listening to this and you have a call to healing, like it's all there's this huge like web of energy in the verse. You probably were an energy healer in a past life. You may have been a priest or a priestess in Egypt, or a healer in South America, or in Africa, or a visionary in Japan. Like there, I'm sure that you have had other lives, and that's why this calling feels so strong to help somehow, to help because there's some part of you that innately understands that as great as the world is, it's really great. Like we have a lot of blessings and benefits, but there might just be something a little bit off, a little bit missing with regards to us as humans and how critical it is for us to have real connection with real people and to know where that's supposed to happen and to be present in that. So here healers come. It's like we're dealing with a society with all of this anonymity. We're dealing with a society where people like may or may not still talk to family members, may or may not have the same friends that they grew up with since childhood. They may be reinventing themselves a million times over and then lost inside of those layers of identity, not because they have to be, but because they've never been taught by someone how to actually reinvent themselves correctly, because we're so disconnected from that energy of ancestral lineage, from the energy of you're not alone in this world. There are others with you. There are other people going through things too, and we're all here together. And that's been like dusted over and forgotten. And so we see that, and we have people that are just like struggling emotionally, struggling with like feeling lost in what they're supposed to be doing. And even you may be feeling that and going through that. And then we go like, oh wait, but there's another way. I just know there's something that can allow us to have more illumination and connection. And then we have the healing work, right? And the healing work restores our transcendental channel to this ancestral lineage. When we receive healing, whatever the type of healing is, we're reconnecting those synapses and those parts of our being that actually understand just how to be human in life. When we're receiving, whether it's like tapping, Reiki, massage, when we're surrendering and we're dropping into that theta healing state, and like all of those neural pathways are firing and like we're reconnecting back with our essential human nature, the part of our soul that agreed to become human, that came down onto this planet and decided to live in flesh and skin. It's re-syncing, synchronizing with flesh and skin. And we're remembering, no matter how the world is, oh, wait, I know how to do this. I just have to move from inside of myself and be connected and be around people, and then be honest with my words. And like all of the wisdom starts to come back in when we receive healing. So I feel that healers are so critical right now in this day and age, because we have this long history that I barely even scratched the surface of, right? Like we could totally sit around and talk about this for hours. There's so much happening. And yet what we need is this essential reconnection to our humanity. And spirituality can do that. Religion can do that. Religion is a great structure for that if you have the right religion. Religion is only as good as its people, you know? But healing brings us back to ourselves directly, and back to our direct spiritual connection with the divine, with the unseen, intangible that connects all of us. And right now, while so much of the world is actually dealing with themes of what's real and what's not, what's true and what's not, when so much of our own country here in the United States is in flux around, okay, we all saw a thing. What's the real truth of that? Is this true or is that true? Do we do this or do we do that? When so much of our society globally is actually still moving through layers of PTSD and like depression from the events of the past 5 years or so, 10 years, 12 years. And when our planet is literally like in flux, weather-wise even, because of climate change. Because humans are really struggling to see and understand what is essential truth in a world that is just over inundated with stimuli, with people who were built to be in a simple village for an entire life, or maybe in a country of like, I don't know how many, for an entire life, who are now living a global mindset, and who got there without any kind of support for how to grow that mindset healthfully. We all did. So we like destroyed all of our temples and stuff, but that's a whole other story. So here we are in all of this, and it's like, what's the medicine for this? What is the medicine that gets us out of the funky space where every day, like, news feeds are just spouting like toxic drama from around the world? How do we even change the mindset so that the news feeds go, oh wait, why don't we focus on local things that we can change? How do we heal this? And I think the answer is healers. We need our army of light workers, people who are devoted to seeing change happen, people who are devoted to helping birth a global era where we can all be connected as humans. And that happens through practicing your craft, right? It's not like we don't need one healer who can touch a million people. We've had a lot of those. The era has changed. The time has changed. We need thousands of healers who can touch one person, two people, remind people that we all have the healing gift and the ability from within. We don't need sensational healers that are famous and wonderful grandstanders to share big messages. We're getting that. We need thousands of everyday people who are remembering their own healing capabilities. And through that simple remembrance, are resonating and up-leveling the consciousness of the people in their community right around them. And like that's the magic. That's the shift. And what happens is when we're like firing in a certain way, when our brain is suddenly like, healing is a natural thing. Healing is, oh, I'm allowed to come back into my body. I'm allowed to ground. I'm allowed to reset how I see the world and connect with my essential truth. What I see and what I believe as my essential truth is divine. I can bring healing to the world around me. When we start resonating into these things, that's not just a mental shift. It's physiological. It's electromagnetic. We're actually putting off a frequency in the space around us. And even science today tells us that when a human is putting off a frequency, it affects other humans. And if it's happening long enough and steady enough, other humans will entrain to that. The strongest resonance wins. So if we are running this healing energy and consciousness in our regular communities, at work, at home, at the grocery store, with friends, with family, we change them over time. And that's not even the layer of us that's conscious, right? To them and to how to speak about it. It's just who we are. So having confidence as a business owner, as a healer in business, or as, just in your practice, if you're stuck right now in small stories, like you have all of these like limiting beliefs and you're just like, oh, I can't start. I want to say it's a really natural, healthy thing, because you're having an awakening process as a healer in the face of hundreds of years of history in the making, in which humans have been disconnecting in many ways from their essential spiritual nature and inner trust. And we literally have built whole societies where the rules of being alive and safe have been to give over your personal sovereignty and trust a king or a leader, somebody else, to tell you how things need to be done. So it actually is a huge revolutionary act to decide that you want to have confidence in yourself, to decide that what you envision is actually something that's important and doable as a healer, as a person that's spiritual and in your practice. I hear a lot of like, I have to be perfect and healed before I can help other people. I'm too much of a mess to be able to heal other people. I really want to have a healing practice. I really want to be an energy healer, but I'm just all over the place. And I think that on the one hand, it is important to know when you need healing work. But the reality is, no one is perfect. No one is perfect, and nobody is perfectly healed. Being human is messy and beautiful and engaged and full of desires and full of things that sometimes don't work out, you know? And we get triggered and we get traumatized and we heal. And it's actually part of who you are as an energy healer is your journey, right? Like if you're perfect and healed, you actually do a disservice to everybody that you touch, because we're all going through things. And it's actually the unique vibration of what you're going through personally, where you are in your healing journey, that reaches out and touches another person. It's your vulnerability as a human that allows you to start to set the healing container for doing healing work for other people. So, yes, keep doing your personal healing work. It's so important to the integrity of you being a healer and having a business. Keep working on yourself. But know that even if you have all of these other things going on, as long as you can actually, like in the moment, set a really sacred space for someone and you can just like be fully present for someone else for like an hour, then you could do healing work. You can do all kinds of work, you know, like, and gosh, if you think about it, like a lot of people go to other jobs and they're not even present at all. They're half asleep going through their work. But like, we're here to do the work with integrity, right? So you don't have to be perfect and healed. In fact, if you want to be a healer and have a business, I recommend that you learn how to be messy, that you learn how to acknowledge in your life where you've got a lot of loose threads that you're working on, that you learn how to feel where things need some work so that you can be present and accountable to that. And that will actually make you an amazing healer if you continuously engage with that, even as you start the process of building your business or deepening into your practice. Now, I really can't tell if anyone's on or who's on because it doesn't tell me on the screen. So if this is resonating with you or if you have questions, let me know. I don't want to stay on for too much longer, but I would love to hear what you think of this. And I do think like the other thing that I hear around starting a healing practice or even just going deeper in a business, like, let me just back up for a minute. I've spoken to quite a few people in the last year who have hit a wall after the stresses of past few years. And they've said things like, you know, it's always a little different, but they've said things like, I've been doing this healing work for, you know, I've just been trying for a long time, sometimes 5 years, sometimes 10 years. It's different, everybody. And I just don't know how to crack it. So I'm just going to go do something else. Right. Um, and that's such a deep space to be in. And I really get it, you know, but I think like that wound and that pain, that like the confidence that just drops when you're trying and it's not going the way that you want it to go. I think that that's actually, it's an emotional pain story that feeds into itself, and it actually just comes from lack of knowledge and education and support and lack of that tribal village identity that we were talking about. Like when we don't have other people around us to tell us, oh, well, that's because you're doing that piece wrong. Oh, that's because, you know, you got to anchor in over here. And, oh, well, did you take care of this? Then we just hit our head against a rock 20 times and we wonder why we're bleeding, you know? And like I've seen this with a lot of people. And I think it's like if you want to have confidence in your healing business and practice, you don't need to be perfect and healed. You're going to continue to engage on your own level, but you need support. You need other people that can help you figure out what you're supposed to be doing. You still need to trust yourself ultimately, But like, if you don't understand business and you're like, well, I just don't really understand business, so I'm going to have a healing business, but I'm not going to really worry about business. I'm just going to trust intuition. That's not fully going to work because we're stardust and earth. We're both. So you absolutely should trust your intuition, absolutely. But there is going to be a part of you that will need to understand aspects of business because you're on earth. You're on a physical grounded place and you're interacting with other people on the planet. So you have to learn these things. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful journey if you have the right teachers. You should have a lot of teachers and have fun with it. Just like learning English or learning how to speak, like you don't learn to speak from one person. You learn by like hearing all of the noises of your parents or family members or kids. And over time, you develop your patterns for how you speak and you learn how to articulate yourself. And if you're around people that never share what they feel and they don't have words for it, you will not learn words for it, right? If you're around people that never express themselves on any deeper level, you will not learn how to express yourself very well on any deeper level. If you're around people that don't understand a business mindset, don't understand how to create a business from nothing, you will not learn that, right? So you need support, you need the people, and you need the environment, you need all of those things. And you may have other blocks that keep that confidence from resonating. You may be afraid of money and can I even take money for this? Am I even doing anything? Like, shouldn't I be a starving healer? Like, all of these really deep beliefs can come up because of our socialization in this modern society. And we're like not in a time anymore where people just recognize your gift as a healer and bring you in and say, oh, that's what you do? Okay, then I'll give you the food. I'll give you the bed. We're not in that time anymore. So um, we have to create new ways to anchor ourselves in this timeline and on this plane and make sure that we're nourished and cared for so that we can share the message, right? The healing message, and do the work. That's how we change the world. So the confidence, if you're having trouble with your business and having confidence in it, remember like there's a huge story, and your confidence in the fear you might have, it might be perfectly ordinary and like a normal reaction to living in a complex world. And so how you heal that is by bringing in the good medicine that restabilizes you, helps you understand where your footing is. You give yourself the education, you give yourself the right environments and the right people to share with around your healing journey, just as you would anywhere else. And you do the interpersonal work of starting to reconnect the synapses and create the village that's yours, where you can be held accountable and where you can grow and you can tend your wounds and heal and love and thrive and start to actually create in this moment the healthy future that you envision that this world can have, right? There's so much else I could say, but I hope that there's something in there that you can connect with. And this whole, like, today I started this launch for the Healers in Business program that I'm doing. And it's a 3-month program, essentially. It's 12 weeks. And it is that container where you can be seen and witnessed and start to step into and deepen into that identity of healer, whatever that looks like for you, healing practitioner. Like maybe you lay hands on, maybe you have a combo massage thing going, maybe you don't do direct energy healing, you do something else, but you recognize that this entrepreneurial thing that you're growing has transmission, and you need spaces as you're first establishing that business. You need spaces to be seen in that identity and spaces where you can start to get the basic education so that you can have the confidence. Confidence doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes through practice. It comes through education and like learning and doing, learning and doing, learning and doing. The more you learn, the more you do, learn, do, learn, do, the more confident you become. You become confident speaking if you speak a lot. You become confident walking if you walk a lot. You become confident like living your life if you live a lot, if you learn to set the boundaries, if you learn how a good life feels. And I've been very blessed to have like amazing, amazing years where I just feel like my life is so good. It feels really good. And I've had other years where I'm like, this is a terrible, terrible life. And it's so hard. But because I know how good feels, it's like so fast for me to just resonate back into that space. Right. So if you want to develop that confidence in your business, you've got to give yourself the you know, like the ingredients for the recipe so that you can learn and do, learn and do, learn and do. And Healers in Business is that. I'll be talking more about it in the next coming days. If you're curious, if you want to know more, you can jump on a call with me and it's casual. But it's not just about one program. Like I'm offering this program and I want the right people to come in, but it really is about this shift in mindset. And you can take even just this message today and begin to deepen into your life and look at where you've compartmentalized things and start to ask yourself, who are my people that I think of as my village? Who are the ones that I love and that I want to be there for? And if you have learned anonymity from being in this time and age, I definitely have, right? I'm learning to let go of a lot of that. If you've learned to be anonymous moving through your life, then you can start to think about, if I'm a good village person, village people, how do we get here? If I'm a good like community member, what does that look like for me? Who do I want to be in that? How do I want to show the people that I care for in my life that they're mine, that I care for them? What are those next steps? And all of this is critical to who you're becoming in your work, because the only way we're going to shift the things we don't like about this world today is if we come into deep integrity with ourselves and the work that we're here to do in our heart. And we bring that integrity, regardless of like where your healing business is at, or even if you want one or not, we bring that to every aspect of our lives and what we do, right? That integrity. So that's it. Thank you so much for being present. The replay will be available, so if you came in halfway through, I encourage you to watch it from the start. I want to close with a simple prayer, just giving thanks. So bringing hands to Gasho, breathing in and out. We give thanks for healing energy. We give thanks for technology and recognize the beauty and the strength and power that today's technology has given us to connect, even through long distances. And even as we feel our branches spreading out and touching the sky and touching the world, we drop in even deeper into our roots, remembering to give thanks for the spirit of our place, wherever we are physically living, moving, and walking in the world. Our neighborhood, our street, our town, and the faces that we see every day around us that are weaving the spirit of our cities and towns. We give thanks for all of this. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, and so it is. So yeah, thank you guys. I'm reading some of the comments. Hi Brian. Hi Shannon. Hey. Yeah, the world is going through so much, and yeah, your Healers in Business class is perfect for that, for real. In the healing space, it's easy to forget that there is still a business to tend to, and not just the nice energy stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that this has landed well. I would love to hear your thoughts about the state of affairs of the world and around this topic. I think as healers, I've seen a lot of wounds. We carry a lot of wounds, and sometimes I feel like we're actually carrying them not just for ourselves, but it's like empathic. Like, will carry wounds around the healing identity almost for the rest of society, you know? And so I want us to start to shed that and to really step into our leadership as healers. And healing heart Reiki has always attracted like really, really good hearted, creative, kind people, and a lot of people with vision. And if you're here, you're probably one of those people. So, you know, we are the leaders, we are the future. And it begins here and now with you looking at this coming year and deciding that you're going to go forward with this spirit that you can be a part of the solution, you can be a part of the change. Okay, I'm going to jump off before I go into a whole nother topic. I'm sending you guys lots of love. If you have questions about healers in business, or you want to like check in, or even if you've checked in with me before and you want to see if it feels right for now, or just hear how the program is shifting and changing, go ahead and post a comment below this or private message me and or email me and let me know and we can talk. It's not a sales call, it's a talk. Sales calls are later. I'll let you know if we're doing a sales call. But yeah, you can let me know. And I think it's really important. So bye.